So what was your big emphasis during the bye week?
During the bye week, of course, we got to get our bodies right. But the biggest thing that Coach wanted to get us going back to was our fundamentals, blocking wise, and I think it was a big step up for us. You know, some people would think that we're taking a step backwards, but I think as we stack on everything we're learning and all the techniques that we're stacking on top of what we know, going back to the fundamentals, I feel like just only brings everything that we're learning along.
Obviously, last year you guys started off hot and then things didn't go your way to kind of the back few games of the season. How do you avoid the same thing happening this year?
In my opinion, we went to the bye week undefeated, so I feel like we didn't approach the bye week the way we should have. And I think as much as we want to win every game and we want to come out and we do not want anything in the L column, I feel like this was good for us. It was a little wake-up call, and it had us approaching the bye week the way we should, knowing that we don't want to taste the taste we had after Boise ever again, and I think that's what we did different this year.
How do you balance the mentality of, not kind of, reliving what happened last year, but not kind of forgetting about it and knowing that, you do have to come out every week, otherwise you can have a repeat of what did happen?
Fali Famoy, one of our captains on the O-line, he after every practice this week and last week, he always said we were in this position last year. Remember that feeling. Don't let these days get away. Every rep is a rep that we can take. Every rep is a rep we can dominate. And knowing that, I feel like I said again, like we're approaching these 2 weeks in a way of not only taking the time to reset our bodies, but also to reset our minds and knowing that we want to go 1-0 every week.
When you watch the tape back of the Boise State game, like what do you kind of notice the most? What were some of those issues there?
The issues from Boise?
Yeah.
Just like how Castor approached this week, I think a lot of the stuff that we learned going into Boise was stacking on top of the fundamentals, so we weren't really going into it. And going into the bye week and going into this week, preparing for Fresno, I think he really took a step back and wanted to hone in on the fundamentals that we've learned from day one. Because sometimes we get away from what we do best, and that's just the base fundamentals, hat placement, hand placement, footwork, stuff like that.
Is that like hard to keep in mind sometimes, or like how do you kind of get that in your head so you don't have to kind of remember it too often?
I feel like if you try to remember everything at once, you kind of get overwhelmed in yourself. I feel like every play you do one thing, and keep it that way. Sometimes we'll have dual reads, sometimes we'll have if this guy moves here, we block here. But at the end of the day, we take a step left, we take a step right, and the guys there we block them.
You mentioned Lily earlier, like. What does he kind of do for you guys in that room, just being, so experienced there?
He is soft-spoken, and he is, not the biggest talker, but he does lead through example, and he does lead through the way he fights, the way he strains in practice, the way he puts on film. I feel like he's a big leader by example, and we really appreciate having him in the room.
Obviously, you guys prep for every team differently. Is there something specific that you're working at towards Fresno State and anything that stands out on their film?
Not so much different. We come into every week saying the same thing, that we're going to have to win this in the trenches. We're going to have to win this at the line of scrimmage. And I always say this before a game, is that the line of scrimmage is not set, we set it. And I guess the thing we do different this week is that we went back to our fundamentals, like I said. A lot of times we'll throw in new plays, throw in new techniques for a different team just to counter what they like to do. But I think for this week, we see that it's always us, never them. So go back to what we do best, and then that'll carry over in the game.
I'm just curious, so when you say you're going back to the fundamentals, how do you make sure you guys aren't just going through the motions, or that it's not monotonous, that's that you guys are still up and doing the right things?
Yeah, day one, we're taking steps with no pads. Day two, we're putting pads on, but we're still taking a step and then getting into full speed, maybe 70%. So what I mean by fundamentals is we're doing day one stuff, but week 6 speed, you know what I mean? Like we're not taking our steps one and then we're getting into it. We're doing the reps in Indy. We're doing it against the scouts. We're doing it against the ones. We're doing all our base fundamentals at a high level, at a high speed, but not getting ahead of ourselves and not trying to be a team that we're not being an O-line that we're not, but being what we do best. In the first four games that you saw was just doing what we do.
I'll take maybe a different approach for Bobby here. You're from California. What do you know about Fresno State?
Fresno State, they did offer me. They were one of the first Mountain West schools to offer me. I think they were a good program, honestly. I I don't really like them. I'm not the biggest fan of them, just because I know those boys work hard, and everyone gives them, just like Boise State, they give them that they're physical, they give them that they work hard. There's some hard knocks, but I feel like we are too, and I feel like the more I hear about other teams, the more I just feel confident in us.